rhetorical question for you. Have you ever just had a full single weekend unplanned? Because I'm pretty sure you have like 3 or 4 coming up later this month. So I have a challenge for you. Choose your favorite country, look a couple months ahead, and then book the flight that's cheaper than the rest. Come on, screw whatever plans might come up. Are they really gonna be any more entertaining? Here's a new tenet of travel philosophy that I just picked up on. Plan early and often. Always be thinking about the next trip. Maybe even while you're on vacation. You certainly have the downtime then. Whenever you're distracted or you're doom scrolling, you could be lining up the next destination for all your coworkers to ask you about, and then before you know it, everyone thinks you're so traveled and cultured, and at some point that's actually quite true. Moreover, the anticipation of your next trip grows and grows as you spend more time at home, and the inverse is true too. The longer you're away, the more you want to do chores. And eventually, you end up planning a little too much to the point that you're singing the national anthem when you're on vacation, and then when you're back at home, you long for adventure so much that you start protesting against your own country. With a steady stream of short breaks, you can keep full interest through the length of each trip, come back refreshed, and always be ready for your next step. All that is to say, I just got back from the Netherlands. I left on a Thursday and came back on a Tuesday, so a little bit longer than a weekend, but certainly much more of a fling than your average trip. And honestly, it could have been much more of a fling because, surprise, every single Monday, most of the museums and touristy stuff that you would want to do in the Netherlands is pretty much closed. So here's what I recommend. Haarlem is a good first stop for the day you get off or maybe get back onto the plane. So it's a bus ride away from Schiphol Airport, and it's quiet, it's laid back, and it's got a really cute market. There's a great history museum where you can learn about how Haarlem grew up with the Netherlands, from its textile and alcohol industry to its alternative music scene. Delft is kind of similar. It's part college town, thanks to Delft University and all the engineering that goes on there, but it's also the namesake of Delft Blue, which is the name given to the Netherlands brand of fine china. There's some really stunning architecture at the central square, and you can climb to the top of this very, very, very tall, enormous church. I chose not to because there's plenty enough to do on the ground, thank you very much. You can tour the house of an old artist and statesman, all his heirlooms and dresses and kitchenware.
It's taking a video now. Hi there. I'm standing in line for herring, and I'm just gonna eat it with some onions. Slurp it up. I love that stuff so much. Here we are. Look how many people there are.
My favorite part of going to Delft was eating a lunch's worth of cheese in the cheese shop and then paying it off by buying a souvenir. And I want to emphasize, it should be surprising coming from me, sparing on the spending and never eating cheese at home. This place had me hooked on basil cheese and smoked jalapeno cheese and goat cheese and sheep's cheese, every kind. And I joked with my Dutch family that every single time I come to the Netherlands, I pick up a new addiction, and in this case, cheese took my heart. So after you're done there, you head down to the market and you eat a little more. Watch the stall with the herring and the calamari straight from the ocean. Dodge the viciously sweet aromas of yellow, brown, and pink waffles, more pungently alluring than they are even colorful. That's not to speak of drop, my last Netherlands addiction. We talked about the sweet and salty in depth, but whenever you're not gulping down those fresh foods, you should still be chewing on black licorice instead. Myself, I'm a real Dutchman, and I've proven it through my love of salty Sagnac. But if that isn't to your liking, you can always chew on some pretty pink and fruity, soft and sweet English licorice.
Prime Minister, so that's where the top man in the Netherlands works. The little tower, just in front of the gallery, art gallery development.
The Hague is the administrative center, of course, and outside of poetic ponds and parliament and pigeons, they also handle politics and persecution. I mean, prosecution. There's a museum where you can experiment with all the torture implements or rot away in the darkness for your life sentence. It's also an immersion into the intolerance of pre-Enlightenment sentencing where hanging and imprisonment and public humiliation just ran rampant. De Haag is a castle not far from Utrecht, outfitted with fake fireplaces, central heating, electricity, makeup, print media, and wallpaper. And it's one of the only castles in the world where living the royal life affords the benefits of modern life while simultaneously sporting a sculpted, grandiose style. But where's Amsterdam? I'll tell you, there's no Amsterdam. I figured out the first time around that the Netherlands is a great place for me to slow down and just enjoy the surroundings. The day I had in Amsterdam was more than adventurous enough, and I'm sure I'll be back, but even with the little bite-sized pieces I'm taking throughout these trips, I'm still filling up my tank with exploration, and the extra time I would have taken in Amsterdam really wouldn't have been as transformative as the rest of this trip was. So let's just call it quits while we're ahead. I saw my Dutch family, I saw some sick castles, and I sought out my salmiak. So what more can I ask for? And I guess the answer there is just for there to be a next time. You know, somehow I've never gotten on a bike despite them being everywhere. Like, how is that even possible? I bike everywhere in real life. I gave up my goddamn car.